Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit back and forth. Interesting. And then I think you said earlier in our pre-discussion that there's some people who are doing the pilgrimage to Mecca, that they are using, and I looked a little bit of details, and for example 2024 there was more than 1,000 people dying in few days as the
Yes,
temperature was
yes,
52 Celsius and
yes,
super dry, and people walking like 25 to 30 kilometers in dry desert sun. So yeah, give us a little bit idea how does it work there and so on.
yeah. So this is a case we are currently looking at with a partner from Saudi Arabia because it's a very big topic, especially also among elderly pilgrims. And yeah, and we are looking to produce a solution especially for the Hajj. So when people walk around the Kaaba, there are some things they are not allowed to wear. For example, everything what has a seam. And we are also creating a cooling solution without a seam so that it's according to the rules. And from the condition itself, it's ideally because, as you mentioned, it's very dry. The more dry the environment, the better the evaporation, the better the cooling effect. And also the heating, it's not always direct sunlight because they do have a lot of shadows there. Like the whole infrastructure they created, some like a lot of places where the people are not directly at the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're not allowed to have a seam. Do you mean the zipper, or it needs to be just made
No, I
from
see
one
like
part? Yeah, it's just yeah.
right. It has to
Okay,
be
yeah.
made from one part.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know the details. Yeah, yeah. No,
me
very
neither. I
very
don't.
interesting.
I
Yeah,
think it comes from yeah
yeah,
from the Sharia law, or the Hadith, or
yeah.
I don't know the details
Yeah,
either.
traditional
Yeah,
clothing. Yeah, so very important use case there, saving lives of meaningful activity of people are doing. So that's very good. And how do you see the global warming is getting worse, and we have heat waves in Europe, we have heat waves in the US, many places in the world. How do you see it among older adults, we both from
mhm.
Europe? How would you see it in Europe? How does it work in, for example, Southern Europe? Is the humidity, how is it in Southern Europe?
So in Southern Europe, my family is from southern Spain,
Yeah.
and then we have a similar situation like in the Arabic Peninsula. So at the coast, there is a high humidity. But once you go a little bit to the countryside in Andalusia, then it gets very dry. And I do have elderly family members which are using my solution, and they like it very much because it's just very practical, especially during the summer heat, and also when it's dry condition. And we do have in Europe people who die because of too much heat.
Hmm.
So, and as especially affects elderly people, so therefore our solution there hits a nerve, but we are currently evaluating in the southern part. So obviously the sample size is not big enough yet because we just started, but the situation is quite promising for the solution, especially because we help the
Yeah.
people to feel better
Yeah.
and more comfortable.
Yeah. And in you said that in the coast it's too humid for it to work well. Do you have any kind of ballpark figure how many kilometers you need to go from the coast that the humidity
No, not yet.
changes? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, I don't have that. Even now, how much humidity, as I said, like 70% Thailand was working okay. We assume that that's a little bit too high
Yeah.
from an objective standpoint, but we don't have the measurements yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not finalized.
Yeah. Interesting. I think I have covered most of my questions. Anything you want to add about use cases, or how does your vest work, or anything else?
No, we are always looking for new use. So if somebody's interested of collaborating with us together to co-develop another solution, based on this technology, we are very open to it. So one of the co-development could, for example, be evaporation and airflow, because then the evaporation gets even stronger since the airflow would transport the evaporation much faster. And these are things which we already scientifically validated, but currently didn't have the resources to develop it further. And if you're interested, you find them under duracoolwear.com.
Yeah, sounds interesting. And you said that you are developing the seamless version. What else do you have in the roadmap? Maybe as plans, and which ones are in action, and what have you innovated? What have you planned in the roadmap?
So what currently we are working on a pad, which is just a pad, for example, for the forehead or for the neck or even for the head. A very simple pad. The tricky part on a simple pad is the closure. So you don't want to have a bulky wall on it, or like some elements which are disturbing, especially, for example, when you have a sick child in bed and you want to make sure that it's holding, but it's not uncomfortable. So this is something we are currently developing and testing. And some other new product will be our current vest, but with more net structures, so that you even have a better airflow within the cooling areas, because the cooling and the airflow gives a nice feeling. In that case, without electronics, so that is still very practical.
Yeah. And maybe one question going a little bit backwards. I'm thinking, can you calculate the cooling effect from if you have half a liter of water, can you kind of calculate it backwards, that how much energy does it pull out, or how much heat? Now my basic physics I'm a little bit messing, but can you kind of calculate the negative kilocalories that it has on the body, which is kind of cooling off the core temperature?
That's a good question. I'm sure you can. I'm looking now currently at the graph, which embodied the measurement on this robot I mentioned before.
Yeah.
And it started with the heat loss of almost 800 watt per square meters. And then it went down after 5 hours to 450 watt per square meters. And then if you add it up, I'm quite sure you could. But we haven't done it yet. I can give you these numbers.
Yeah. I have done some physics, but it's 20 years ago, so I start to forget the basics. I can still ask the difficult questions, but not to have the answers. Yeah. So sounds great. It was pleasure discussing with this technology, and if anyone has any research ideas, I think it's important with the paraplegic people, multiple sclerosis, and also with Heatwave, older people, and also the pilgrim. It's interesting if anyone wants to collaborate in research and see how it works, how it can improve. But thank you, Jose, for this recording.
Yeah, thank you too.